All right, so this is my 1997 Chevy K2500 with the Vortec 454 7.4 liter engine. Now, right now, I'm in the process of replacing my fuel injectors and fuel pressure regulator because I have the um, uh, hard start or warm start issue where if the truck's been sitting, say overnight, it'll start up just fine. Or maybe it's been sitting a week, it'll start just fine. But if the truck's been running, the engine's warm, and then it sits for like more than 20 minutes, it'll long crank. It'll always start, but usually I have to try a couple times. Usually it'd be a long crank, and then it'll die, and then I'll try it again and it'll start. But anyways, kind of a infamous issue on this engine. Watched quite a few YouTube videos on this, and I just wanted to make a video just showing some of the things I've learned working on this I didn't quite find in the videos I watched, or it was unclear. So right now I have the fuel rail with the injectors off. It's kind of cold and windy out here right now, so I'm going to take that inside when I'm done with this video and start working on swapping the injectors and the fuel pressure regulator inside where it's warm. But I just got that off, and that was kind of tricky for me because I wasn't quite sure how to get that off. I watched quite a few videos, but it was still kind of unclear to me, so I'm actually going to hop up into the engine bay so you can see better. So if you're going to take off if you were going to take off the fuel rail with the injectors and the regulator and everything, there's actually 5 bolts that you have to take off. That was a little that took me a little bit to figure out because some of the videos I watched said there was only 3. Some said 4. So anyways, so you have one nut here. It's actually, there's going to be a nut, and you're going to take that off. And there's this piece here holding down the sensor, I believe is what the job of this bracket is. And then you have this set screw with a nut. I guess that's what you would call it, right? Okay, so that's going to be attached to the fuel line on that fuel rail. And then, sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed. You have this one here, that's a 13 millimeter. Both those are going to be 13 millimeter. Then you have 2 bolts. Those are both 10 millimeter, I believe. And then you have 2 more 10 millimeters back there. Now, hold on a second. I gotta readjust. I actually took the distributor out. I saw one video where the gentleman said that you actually don't need to take the distributor out to get all these bolts, but most videos I watched, the guys did. I actually got this one here out before I took the distributor out, and that wasn't too bad. I just kind of reached under there, but I didn't see this one here, and that was holding me up because I was trying to get the fuel rail out, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get it up, and I had missed this one here, so I ended up taking the distributor off just so I could see better. I know it might be kind of a pain for me to put that back in, and we'll see, but I took the distributor out because I just couldn't see, and I was also worried that getting those fuel lines off could be difficult, so I took the distributor out, and then I saw that one there. So now that I have this off, I will say that I think you probably could get this fuel rail out without taking out the distributor. The fuel rail could be, or the fuel lines there could be a little tricky, but I don't think it would be terrible. That was the other thing. I saw one video where the guy was having an issue getting those those nuts off for the fuel rail, but mine were not tight at all. I didn't even need 2 wrenches. I just needed 1 wrench, and I didn't even have to use that much force, and they came off. So those were easy for me. But anyways, and then there's this sensor here, or there's this not sensor. There's this this plug here, and you just there's a little like safety thing here. Pull that out, and then just pull this up. That wasn't too bad. So anyways, yeah, so for the fuel rail though, you have 5. You have one here on the end, 2 10mm in the middle, and then you got 2 here on the end. And let's see, so that's going to be there and there, and then the middle 10mm is that one, and then that one on the end is going to be there. So it'll be obviously it's going to be in the engine like this. So that's where those 2 are. But yeah, I just wanted to make this real quick to help out anybody who might be having issues getting their fuel rail out. Okay, so I got the fuel injectors swapped out on the fuel rail, and I have the fuel pressure regulator installed. So I did that yesterday. That was actually pretty easy. Just take your time. A lot of people talk about these clips here, how they're kind of difficult to get off without breaking this this tab here, but I didn't break any actually, and it really wasn't that hard. Just take your time, use a screwdriver, use a flat blade. I actually use 3 different sizes. I start with a small one and just work it on each side, and then as it moves up, you know, move to a bigger screwdriver until it pops off. But just take your time, not that difficult. I did actually break this connector though here. Part of it broke off. I mean, it still works, but I did break that a little. And then fuel pressure regulator, you will need snap ring pliers. I just got the $5 Harbor Freight. That worked fine, and took that apart and just cleaned everything out in there and then put that in. And then I did go to AutoZone and get some 5/32 vacuum line because mine was rotted and it wasn't even attached to the manifold. Also, my connector here was broken, so I just like taped this up. It was like chipped. Now I have actually been trying for about the past few hours. I did it last night and today, putting this fuel rail back in, and I've had a lot of trouble. I haven't quite been able to get it, though. I think I just figured out the way to do it. I just kind of tested it out and it seemed to work, but I took it back out because I just wanted to make sure I clean everything really good before I try. And that's the other thing too, is my engine bay is, or not my engine bay, but this manifold here is very dirty, so that's been kind of a pain because I don't want to get a bunch of dirt on everything. So I vacuumed it a little bit yesterday, and I've just been using a paper towel to kind of like clean it. But yeah, that's been kind of annoying. I'm going to clean everything and go for it. But here's what I would recommend. See, what I've been trying to do is I'll put this in like this, and then I've just been trying to like push all these injectors down in, but it hasn't really been working. And I think part of that is I did realize I compared these new injectors, and these are the 5.0 Motorsports injectors. I compared these to the injectors that were in there, which, you know, I don't know if they were actually stock or not, because this is the second engine that's been in this truck. This truck has like 313,000 miles. I only bought this like a year ago, so I don't know, you know, if those were stock or not. But though the injectors that were in there, the O-ring is lower down. So in relation to this clip here, hold on a second, let me get that in focus. In relation to the clip that holds this injector on the injectors that were in the truck, the O-ring's lower. So I think that's part of my problem, because when I push it into one side and I seat this all the way, I can't physically get that other side in because these mounts here on the manifold are high enough that it just, you know, it physically can't quite fit in there that way. So but it looks like I can still get this seated in with the O-ring in the bore. It just might not be seated all the way down to this plastic, but I don't think that will cause any issue because it's like as long as the O-ring's in the bore and everything's, you know, tight and secure, I don't foresee any issues. So what I'm going to do is put this in and hold on a second. I'm gonna get some light. So the screw holes for this are on the right side, both of them. So what I'm going to do is seat the left side. So I'm going to seat all four of these injectors on the left side fully into the bores, and so that they'll be down as far as they can go. And I'll have the other side, the other four injectors in the bores, but they're not going to be fully seated. But then what I will do is put the screws in and tighten those. And because they're on the right side, what that's going to do is it's going to force the right side down in, and it should even it out, because obviously that's going to pull out it's going to pull the left side up a little bit, but push the right side in. And I might have to, well, it's not that I might, I know I'm going to have to fiddle with it to get it even, so that, you know, the O-rings are all pretty much the same depth in that bore. But anyways, I'm going to clean everything and do that, and then I will you know, make an update on how that went and anything I learned. Okay, so the fuel rail is in, and fuel lines are connected, everything's bolted down, and the cable is plugged in, the electrical cable. So yeah, the technique, the tactic that I was talking about did work. I did have to spend quite a bit of time just kind of repositioning it. I would, you know, tighten the bolt a little bit and then just wiggle around. I actually found toward the end, actually using a mallet, you know, you could either use the hammer side or the handle, but using a mallet to kind of just like tap this fuel rail lightly really helped me seat those injectors and get it even. So I think we're gonna be okay. I'm gonna try to zoom in there. I don't know if you can, probably can't see that. Yeah, you could probably see that there. It's like the O-ring's visible, so but it looks like the O-ring is in the bore, so I'm hoping that's still gonna seal that just fine. I mean, I guess we'll find out. Getting those fuel lines back on was a little tricky because, you know, once you loosen things, they don't necessarily line up easy. You know, there's spring to things, so the fuel line, I kind of had to bend some of the stuff. I had to bend and pull it to get everything to line up. But got that back on. You honestly might be better off, I would say, if I was gonna do this again, probably put the fuel line on first thing. Make that the first thing you do, so at least you get the nut started on there, and maybe, you know, do a couple threads and then seat the fuel rail, because it's kind of a pain to put the fuel rail on once the fuel rail was in. But no, I have everything on. Got the 5 bolts. I had to sorry, I'm using a headlamp here because it's getting kind of dark out. I had to kind of bend this, not bend, but I had to really push the back here, the piece that's holding on that fuel pressure regulator, just to get that to line up with the bolts too. And same with this end. I had to kind of use a wrench to get that screw hole, the threaded hole, to line up. But yeah, I mean, so it's kind of a pain. This has been a pain, but everything's on now. I got it plugged in, so next will just be, I guess, putting the distributor back in, and just, you know, I'm gonna put a new gasket on this too, just because the one I had, it kind of got a little bent when I was taking the plenum off. But yeah, so that'll be next. So it shouldn't be too difficult, I don't think, everything else, but if I come up with issues or I figure out a good way to do something, I will make a video about it.